Hey guys, welcome to the channel. This is Zurban Auto. I hope you find this video helpful. If you do, consider subscribing. It'd be great to have you here. And if you subscribe, let me know in the comments below so I can say hello. The first step in doing a cylinder leakage test is to have the cylinder you're testing at top dead center, also known as TDC. And so that's the piston is at the top of the cylinder on compression stroke, meaning that the valves are shut and the cylinder can be pressurized when you put air in. To be extra safe, you could take off the valve cover and make sure that all of the rocker arms there are loose so that they're not compressing the springs. So if you can wiggle them like you see in the video here, then they should all the valves should be shut. We're going to start with cylinder number 1. So you want to turn the crank shaft pulley here to the left only on this engine. The engine rotation is counterclockwise. So you only want to turn it counterclockwise. In this type of engine, even turning it clockwise could cause the timing belt to jump a tooth. So it's not recommended you do that. Even if you're off by a little bit, you're supposed to go all the way around again, going counterclockwise to get to the position you need. You can see here where I'm touching how the belt has gotten loose from turning it clockwise. That's why you want to only turn it counterclockwise. Okay, now that we got all that out of the way, turn it counterclockwise till you see this notch in red that I have here line up through these almost gun sight looking things. So the little point at the bottom there, where you just see it through the sights, you see the point, that needs to line up with that cut with the red perfectly. And then that will be cylinder number 1 at top dead center. So to the left of that you have these other 3 marks, but you just want to use the mark on the right hand side. A couple other methods to finding top dead center is using your cylinder leakage tester hose and a balloon on the end, and you'll see the balloon fills up as the piston is coming up on compression stroke. It's pushing air, it's compressing air in that cylinder, so it's going to push all that air out through the spark plug hole, and you'll see the balloon inflate. So that'll be more useful on cylinders 2, 3, and 4 where you don't have that nice red mark to see where the exact top dead center is. Another method is you can actually feel the air blowing out when you put your thumb over the top of the hose. So when you feel the air stop blowing out, then a little bit past that should be top dead center also. So you want to be careful where you put your hand. It may take a little bit of practice to kind of find the top dead center where it won't kick back. So I'm going to show you what happens if you don't find the exact top dead center. Then when you put pressure in that cylinder, it wants to push it down, just like it's designed to push that piston down and turn the crank to run the engine. So I'm going to just start applying a little bit of pressure with the leakage tester. See, it's kind of starting to make a little bit of noise. And there, it just kicked it over. So if it's kicking it over like this, that means you're not quite at top dead center. So you're going to want to try again. One trick like checking the valves, that'll work as well to make sure there's no pressure on any of the valves. That helps in knowing as well. But a little bit of practice, you get the feel where the air stops blowing out, then a little bit past that is usually your top dead center. So now that you've found top dead center, you can perform the cylinder leakage test. So now to set your cylinder leakage tester, most of them will have a snap like this. This pushes in and it's locked. You pull it out, now it's unlocked and you can regulate it. So pull that out, thread it all the way to the left so that you're not allowing any pressure in. Take your air source, should probably have a 100 psi compressor would be good. Plug it in, still no pressure. And as you start to turn this to the right, it's going to start to build the pressure. You see they're both going up together. So they should be both at the exact same right now, since you don't have the lower hose connected. Once you have this lower hose connected, then it will allow air out of here into the cylinder to test for the leakage. So we're going to put that at 90. Right at 90, so they're both set at 90. Okay, so you want to have that hose threaded into the cylinder you're testing, then connect it to your tester, but make sure your tester is at 0 and connect it to your airline. You don't want any pressure in there yet. And then you can slowly start to add the pressure, and you can see as you go up to the pressure you're going to test at, probably 90 or 100, somewhere around there, depending on what your air compressor can do. Then you'll see the leakage, and the leakage is the difference between these two gauges. So if this one's at 90 and the other one's at 83 or so, you just divide them. We have 92%, and then 100 minus 92, we have about 8% leakage in the cylinder. So that's just within what's allowable. I believe it says it's within 10% leakage is acceptable. So with the cylinder pressurized, you can start to listen for where the leakage is coming from. So you can remove the intake and listen through the throttle where the air goes into the engine. So you can listen through there, and that will show you if you have intake valves leaking. You can also listen to out the exhaust for exhaust valves. And even through each hole here, you can listen and see if there's leakage going across from one cylinder to another, and that will probably indicate a head gasket leak if you hear it between two cylinders. Hear the sound. 3, 4. You can also listen down the air intake. Here, see if you hear any noise coming out of there, then you know an intake valve could be leaking. Another important thing is to remove the radiator cap, because if you're overheating, you're probably getting those hot exhaust gases into the cooling system through the head gasket leak, and then it's causing the cooling system to get filled with air and overheat the engine. So take the cap off, and I just noticed the fluid slowly started to rise and then just pour over the side. And so what's happening is air is coming through the head gasket, it's displacing the coolant, so you're going to get coolant dripping over first, and then if you wait, you will see little air bubbles all of a sudden go blah, 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 and bubble over, and you know that that air is making its way up and coming out. So that indicates that you definitely have a head gasket leak, and that's why it's overheating, and so it's time to tear down the engine or to take it to a good shop at this point. So this one is a little less obvious. It's just a small leak, but it will cause it to overheat. And now this is what happens if it really goes bad. This is on a Sunfire that came in that I looked at, and the guy said it was overheating, and it was pretty obvious as soon as you take out the radiator cap here. It's the cooling bottle cap, but it's the same as the rad cap on these, and it's just puffing out like crazy. You can just see all the pressure blowing out. Very obvious that that head gasket has went. So I will see you in the next videos where we'll be tearing down this Honda Civic, going through it step by step in how to change the head gasket. See you there.